Thank you to our final patron, Strawbones, Redwolf4765, Midnight Gemlord, and Artgoon555. I think we can all come to a consensus, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Lance is the definition of quality over quantity. Because, I was just thinking about it, right? Brody hasn't shown but two abilities. Shapeshifting and Shining Road. Scratch that, three. Shapeshifting, Shining Road, and heart reading. Bro's been running around with the most basic kit and getting the most out of it. You know what Percy's magic can do? Anything the plot demands it. Legitimately anything the plot demands it, Percy's magic can do. Trust me, I bet it can make you a sandwich. I bet it can make your brother a sandwich. I bet it can conquer 5 nations. Legitimately, Percy's magic can do anything you need it to do, from healing to cloning to multiplication to divination to being smarter than Percy itself. Imagine if you had Percy's magic and then you made a clone of yourself, and then that little miniature clone that's about 2 inches tall is smarter than 5 you put together. Let's be real, something's up with Percy's magic. But regardless, it literally does everything for him. There's nothing that you can argue Percy's magic can't do. And for the other stuff that you can argue it can't do, it probably is on the despair side. Bro literally sucked the life out of people. Golly gee willikers, bro slurped them dry. So, obviously, Percy's magic is pretty diverse. Let's look at Tristan. Tristan has everything. Bro literally has light, which can existence erase you. That's the main thing. Be formed into sharp constructs, coat weapons, and just generally go crazy. Bro probably has access to Purge, too. We just haven't seen it. And then, of course, he has its 15 billion different light attacks that he just likes to throw out and spam because he's Tristan. And then he also has Goddess Wings. Then he also has Demon Mark. So he has all the demon abilities. That man can probably someone's soul if he really wants to. Let's be real. It's definitely in the kit. He just hasn't shown it yet. Because, Nakaba's hey, we gotta get it to the demons while they're bad. Once we make them good, they can't use that ability anymore. But he has the entire basic demon biology. And I'm telling you, if I were to offer, any random person on the street basic demon biology, they'd be like, yeah, because it's that crazy on its own. Fairy's gonna suck. No offense, other than the heart reading, you're kind of booty. The heart reading and the longevity, that's all you get. And then he's also just a demon goddess hype. Bro has 15 different abilities for each side. Bada bing, bada boom. Then look at Gawain. She may just have sunshine, but then she has absolute cancel, teleportation, Rita, or Lita, whatever. But still, even she is more diverse. She has multiple attacks. All Lance does is blast you, read you, and then transform on you. Yeah. So legitimately, I'm looking at Lance and bro's making the most out of the bare minimum. Now, I'm not saying Lance doesn't have more in his kit. I'm not saying Lance couldn't just reach into his back pocket and pull out this Blagooter on you. But it's crazy to think about, right? Everyone else has been focused so much on quantity, right? Oh, I gotta get my spells up. I gotta get my magic diversification down. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Oh. And Lance is okay, I have this one thing that works really, really, really well. I'm just gonna get kidnapped for 3 years, work on this, come back, and be top 5 in the verse. It's simple as that. It's simple mathematics, which is crazy to think about. And now it really makes me wonder, is bro gonna get more? Where is he going now, right? Because we're at such a point in the narrative where I don't think we can let him get stronger. I think it's legitimately illegal. I think we've run into the Escanor problem again. But at least Escanor had an excuse. He had a time period where you could set points of the plot and he would be generally weaker. He had a whole 50%. Look at the entire Visel fighting arc. He only had to cheat to get daytime Escanor to show up there. But we're looking at the situation with Lance now, and he's just strong. He's just generally strong. I don't know what we're supposed to do with him now. I don't want to write him out the plot. This is the main thing that's been knocking on my mind in terms of what's next for Lance. And I'm afraid it's him getting written out of the plot because we can't write it. Like, admittedly, we were in a pretty tough situation with Seven Deadly Sins originally, right? Because, like, oh, we had extremely powerful characters. But the thing is, you know, the Holy Knights and, like, Hendrickson and stuff like that, like, they were strong enough to compete. And then, of course, you had the Commandments, who, except for Big Papa Escanor, blew out most of the Seven Deadly Sins early on in the series. But then, like, Lance beat the final villain. And, like, admittedly, you know, I 100% believe Arthur, he is that guy to a certain degree that's even higher than what we've seen. Despite him whipping out Chaos, despite him whipping out the Dark Scalar, I still don't think this Arthur is 100%. I was not going to convey that better. I think he did it very mysteriously because he's treating Arthur very mysteriously right now. But even still, right? Unless Arthur reveals that, haha, plot twist, my Knights of the Round are actually just as powerful as the me that showed up in Leotis, how are we going to have a story called Four Knights of the Apocalypse without Lance just soloing? Like, we can't write him out of the plot anymore. Obviously, Nagaba was waiting this entire time, specifically because he wanted to have a fully functioning plot. And I don't blame him. I also like fully functioning plots, so please keep him out. But in that same vein, it's kind of like, I don't know what's next for Lance if we can't really do anything with him. Like we can't give him new magic, or else he's just gonna keep invalidating people. Like, not gonna lie, Lance alone has already invalidated all of the original Percy crew, except for like Nasians. But even then, you don't really need Nasians because we have two separate healers. Then he's already invalidated everyone else, just raw stats wise. Like, bro literally has hands that transcend the entire verse and reach straight up to the god tiers. So I'm not exactly sure what we're supposed to do with him there. Character wise, I mean, like, we could develop him in some sort of like getting him to trust people more. Like, maybe that's his journey, like having him learn to trust the other knights more. But I don't know, he seems like a pretty trustworthy guy. He seems to have faith in people like Percy. Maybe he needs more faith in like Tristan and Gawain, but Tristan is essentially his brother from another mother, and he probably doesn't even care about Gawain. I don't know, I know those two were rivals, but I'm not sure how Gawain is going to rival Lancelot now. So I'm kind of just stuck here, like, what are we doing? How are we going to deal with this? Because this is a problem that's going to last for a while. Like, at least from what I can tell, the series is not ending anytime soon. Just going off the original series length, say we get to like half that length, which I highly doubt. I feel like we're going to have way longer a series. If anything, considering in the end, since Seven Deadly Sins is just a prequel, I would assume that Four Knights would be at least equal and like not to talk of longer. So I'm sitting here wondering, like, unless everyone... That's the thing, it's so weird, because Nagaba put us in a really weird, bad, awful, terrifying catch-22. Because he made it so that everyone isn't super. There's still the Sins and there's Lance. But if everyone else gets super, like the Knights of the Round are super, then to quote the best superhero film of all time, when everyone's super, no one will be. So it's not like we can just immediately catch everybody up. Like, Lance either has to get nerfed or removed from the plot, or else we can't have stakes. Like, unless Arthur himself is showing up at different increments for the rest of the series, constantly challenging Lance, constantly beating him up, we can't keep him. Like, we can't keep him in the plot. Like, it doesn't matter how linear his magic is. Obviously, it's enough to carry. So far, no one we've seen in the verse, except for Arthur, except apparently his vessel can, I don't know. We're gonna have to talk about Arthur and his whole, like, vessel talk in another video. But, like, in terms of what we're going to be doing now with the story we are planning to tell, which is essentially, you know, Lance and the crew being buds and doing things, I don't know. I know we have to get him a weapon, right? Obviously, that's a big thing that's being set up. He breaks every single weapon he uses. I really want to see him use Lost Vein, just for that reason alone. But in that case, how are we going to have stakes on that plot? Like, this is literally just going to have to be a bonding quest, because if Lance is there, he solos. And, like, trust me, as a believer of... what would you call this, a Lance religion? Regardless, like, as a believer in Lance from the beginning, like, I obviously knew he was him, but, like, he's a bit too much him for the plot to work. It's a bit too much him to keep him in the plot. Like, when I heard he was stronger than Tristan, I thought it was, like a rung up, like maybe 2 times, maybe 3 at most. The two aren't even in the same league. We aren't even in the same discussion. We're putting Tristan up against Commandments. We're putting Lance up against the verse. These two men are not the same, and I'm just wondering, like, what's next? What's next? Other than getting him a weapon and getting him to bond with the rest of the group, Or really just Gawain? I don't know. I feel like we've had all this time with Sin and Percy for them to bond indirectly. Even if it was Sin and not Lance, Lance and Percy still are essentially brothers. We see that from immediately when Lance turns back to human. And obviously Tristan and Lance have a lot of off-screen build-up and chemistry as brothers. So it's just Gawain. So how long are we going to stretch out this Gawain plot, bro? How long do we have to stretch out Lancelot not being in the plot? Because we can't keep him, right? Like, logistically, who thinks we can actually keep Lance in the plot? Because if you ask me, I think the answer is no. I think we gotta, like, just lift him up, put him to the side, and keep him out. Like, get him kidnapped again. But then again, if he gets his... Oh, my lord. If he gets kidnapped again, how much stronger is he going to be this time? Bro's going to solo Dragon Ball the next time we get him back if he gets kidnapped again. But legitimately, I don't know. I don't know. We're in a rough spot. However, that's what I think. Please mention what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month. Give you exclusive videos, early content, and more. Thank you guys for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off.